Thank you for coming back to my channel. If you like this video, click the subscribe button, and if you didn't like it, click the button anyway, not to hurt my feeling. Haha. Now, let's get started.
Querulous, quixotic, ramification, rancor, rapacious, rebuke, rebut, recalcitrant, recant, reciprocal, reclusive, recondite, recrimination, redolent, refute, reiterate, relegate, relinquish, remonstrate, renounce, reparation, replete, reprehensible, reprisal, reproach, reprove, repudiate, respite, reticent, rogue。
それでは、10個ずつ、イメトレ、定義、例文を流します。頑張ってね。
Querulous, quixotic, ramification, rancor, rapacious, rebuke, rebut, recalcitrant, recant, reciprocal.
Querulous, complaining, grumbling, whining. They cast their critics as a blend of the querulous Neville Chamberlain and craven apologists for Stalin. Quixotic, romantic or idealistic to a foolish or impractical degree. The top priority for most countries was not supporting a forgotten country's quixotic quest for freedom. Ramification, a consequence, a branching out. I demand a reply from the minister about my request for an inquiry into the financial ramifications for Midglamorgan Techs. Rancor, bitter, long-lasting ill will or resentment. In trade, especially, China is likely to be increasingly on the defensive next year, with its stable exchange rate policy arousing rancor and, potentially, retaliatory tariffs. Rapacious, greedy, plundering, avaricious. Because of its rapacious appetite, the shark is often considered to be more of an eating machine than a living creature. Rebuke, to criticize sharply. Who are you to rebuke your children for the same actions you have done? Rebut, to contradict, to argue in opposition to prove to be false. The defense attorney tried hard to rebut the prosecutor's accusation about the defendant. Recalcitrant, stubbornly defiant of authority or control, disobedient. Despite being offered treats by his parents, the little boy was still recalcitrant about doing his homework. Recant, to publicly take back and deny something previously said or believed, to openly confess error. Though he was tortured to make him change his religion, the prisoner would not recant. Reciprocal, mutual, shared, interchangeable. The relationship between City College and its students was actually a fairly reciprocal one.
Reclusive, recondite, recrimination, redolent, refute, reiterate, relegate, relinquish, remonstrate, renounce.
Reclusive, hermit-like, withdrawn from society. Becoming a recluse is not usually a matter of choice because many who live this way of life have mental issues such as agoraphobia. Recondite, hard to understand, over one's head. Although the calculation method of the average value is simple, but its meaning is recondite. Recrimination, a bitter counter-accusation, or the act of making a bitter counter-accusation. An eventual ceasefire left Hezbollah claiming victory and Israel's generals and politicians locked in recrimination. Redolent. Fragrant. It was so peaceful out here in contrast, and so redolent of nature's life. Refute. To prove to be false. To disprove. If they are members, they would find it difficult to refute charges of a breach of the code of conduct. Reiterate. To say again. To repeat. American officials met with diplomatic officials from Myanmar later to reiterate Mrs. Clinton's demand. Relegate. To banish. To send away. The old chancellor who had offended against the emperor was relegated to the distant boundaries of the country. Relinquish. To release or let go of. To surrender. To stop doing. Republicans have been hoping for a reprimand because that is a punishment that would not force Gingrich automatically to relinquish the speakership. Remonstrate. To argue against, to protest. To raise objections. Rather than yell and remonstrate with an individual, I will simply walk away from an argument. Renounce. To give up formally or resign. To disown, to have nothing to do with anymore. Soviet leadership has repeatedly made explicit that they shall not renounce their Marxist-Leninist goals.
Reparation. Replete. Reprehensible. Reprisal. Reproach. Reprove. Repudiate. Respite. Reticent. Rogue.
Reparation. Paying back. Making amends. Compensation. China paid staggering 21 million tael of silver as war reparation when the British defeated China in the First Opium War. Replete. Completely filled. Abounding. History is replete with examples of the dangers of war. Reprehensible. Worthy of severe blame or censure. Your conduct is reprehensible and will not be tolerated. Reprisal. A military action undertaken in revenge for another. An act of taking an eye for an eye. Since all nuclear weapons are indiscriminate and inhumane, their use even in reprisal is illegal. Reproach. To scold, usually in disappointment, to blame, to disgrace. Her conduct had always been beyond reproach. Reprove. To criticize mildly. As a voter, I have the right to reprove the politicians' policies that are not in my best interest. Repudiate. To reject. To renounce, to disown. To have nothing to do with. The company will repudiate any claims of negligence. Respite. A period of rest or relief. Compared to her last job, the relaxed atmosphere of her new surroundings was an invigorating respite. Reticent. Quiet. Restrained. Reluctant to speak, especially about oneself. When asked if he broke the lamp, the child was reticent and refused to make eye contact. Rogue. A criminally dishonest person. A scoundrel. Officials are concerned about rogue regimes that may have nuclear weapons.
お疲れ様でした。眠ってしまっている人はいませんか？それでは、クイズの時間です。
Now, tell me the definition of each word before I move on to the next one. Are you ready? Querulous. Quixotic. Ramification. Rancor. Rapacious. Rebuke. Rebut. Recalcitrant. Recant. Reciprocal. Reclusive. Recondite. Recrimination. Redolent. Refute. Reiterate. Relegate. Relinquish. Remonstrate. Renounce. Reparation. Replete. reprehensible, reprisal, reproach, reprove, repudiate, respite, reticent, rogue.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you soon. Study hard, speak English. Bye!